7 statements. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would wish to give a statement that in a span of 3 days, 3 people, mostly the watchmen, have been murdered by thugs. On Tuesday, Mr. Speaker, sir, that's the 22nd of September 2015, 2 people were killed at the flyover area. That's of Kiplombe Ward. Flyover is the boundary. The other side is Kapsaos, the other side is Kiplombe. And on Wednesday, 23rd, Mr. Speaker, sir, another one was killed near Kambimwangi. That's just that area. And waking up, similarly, another person was found killed at Kambimwangi today. Now, a total number of about 4 people who have been murdered in the same way, and their bodies mutilated. And these people, Mr. Speaker, they're just watchmen. Honorable Speaker, this has caused fear and despondency among the residents of the above-named area. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, may I request the leader of the government business to issue an explanation on what steps the county government is taking to ensure the culprits are brought to book and to restore security in the said areas. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Honorable Leader of Government Business.
The statement given by Honorable from Kiplombe Ward. As we all aware that security is not one of the default functions in our constitution, and aware that the security of our citizens really lies on us, as the constitution has given the government a right to protect its citizens. Mr. Speaker, sir, as much as I would wish to answer to the statement, I'll need to get correct information from the Security Committee or the Security Committee of Uasin Gishu County, and together with the Security Committee of this assembly led by Honorable Hilary Keter, so that I can combine all of that and come and answer the same next week on Tuesday, 2:30 p.m.
Thank you, Honorable Ramadan Ali. Is it fair now that your colleague be allowed to give a response by Tuesday, or rather on the sitting of Tuesday, 2:30?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I comply, but at first he said on Tuesday, and the finishing he said on Thursday. So I don't know which day, which is which. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, sir, for clarity, it is Thursday, 2:30 p.m. because I need to move from the county commissioner, the security committee, and all the other people, so that I can get the correct information to this house.
Then that will be so. I will direct that the leader of government business be given up to the sitting of next Thursday at 2:30 p.m. to respond to that particular statement by giving a detailed report, or rather detailed response in that regard. Now, next order.
Aware that the Article 185(1) of the Constitution of Kenya provides that the legislative authority of the county is vested and exercised by its county assembly. Further aware that a county assembly may make any laws that are necessary for or incidental to effective performance of the functions and the exercise of the powers of the county assembly under the 4th schedule of the Constitution. Further aware that Article 185(4) of the Constitution provides that the county assembly may receive and approve plans and policies for the development and management of its infrastructure and institutions, noting that the county government has heavily invested in putting up good business structures in our county by putting up decent, permanent, and fabricated stalls. Concerned that no guiding principles are being put in place for distributing or assigning the completed market stalls. This county assembly urges the county government through the relevant department to come up with policy framework to regulate the leasing of permanent and fabricated market stalls and submit the same to this county assembly for approval forthwith, and any event not later than 30 days from the date of this county assembly resolution. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are aware that as a county government, we've invested heavily in trying to give our businessmen a decent premises for to carry on their business, day-to-day business activities. Mr. Speaker, sir, almost 220 stalls are complete at the moment. But to date, Mr. Speaker, sir, we don't have a single regulating policy. We don't have any guideline on how these stalls will be given or who qualifies to run the said businesses, to use the said premises, Mr. Speaker, for their business activities. Mr. Speaker, sir, we don't want a scenario whereby there'll be scramble for all, Mr. Speaker, sir, when the stalls are available. We are aware that there were businessmen that used to do business around those places. We are aware that there are other enterprising youth that want to do business in town, Mr. Speaker, sir, but they are also lacking spaces, Mr. Speaker, sir. We cannot put up such nice stalls and leave it as an open check to an entity just to issue the way or she wants to give out, Mr. Speaker, sir. We require a policy and a framework on which the guidelines will be well stipulated on how these stalls will be given out so that it is approved in this county assembly. And that will safeguard any other businessman that will be there. He or she will be there on a binding resolution of this house and security of their wares, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are given the authority as a county assembly. It is the only house in the county government that is given authority to receive policies and plans and pass the same or do amendments to the plans given to suit the necessity of our citizens in this county, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm urging this Honorable House to pass this motion so that in the near future, within 30 days, because I know we have started the financial year, and we are done with a quarter of the year, and the issuing of the said stalls might take place very soon, so that we want this very motion resolution to be taken to the executive with immediate effect, so that no further issuance will be done without regulation being passed in this house. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am calling upon the honorable member from Tembelia, Honorable Pius, to second this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you.
I wish also I stand to second this motion. Indeed, as the mover said, Honorable Speaker, is that this county has invested heavily on establishment of markets and stalls in this town and with this county. And Honorable Speaker, it is in order, or it will be really in order that this House will demand that we have a policy to regulate the distribution, to regulate the management, to regulate or put in place a framework that would really enable the distribution to be done in a fair and in an orderly manner, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, previously, such facilities where people used to scramble for them, Honorable Speaker. But I think with a policy framework in place, will really bring some order, and it will bring a way or a framework, Honorable Speaker, that distribution of these resources or these facilities will be done in an organized manner or in a way, Honorable Speaker, that no one person or group will manage the process of distribution. So, Honorable Speaker, that will also address the aspect of equity and proper disbursement and distribution of resources within our county, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, also this will also give meaning to devolution, because as we invest and put more money on infrastructure, we need to have an organized framework, an organized institution, and this is an area, Honorable Speaker, that we are going to collect a lot of revenue, and it is important, Honorable Speaker, that we also
distribute these facilities in an orderly manner, so that the youths, so that the women, so that the disadvantaged, the people with disabilities will also get opportunities and equal opportunities, Speaker, to own these stalls, Honorable Speaker. So I stand to support this motion, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
I'll now propose the question, honorable members. Aware that Article 185(1) of the Constitution of Kenya provides that the legislative authority of a county is vested in and exercised by its county assembly. Further aware that a county assembly may make any laws that are necessary for or incidental to the effective performance of the functions and exercise of the powers of the county assembly under the 4th schedule of the Constitution. Further aware that Article 185(4) of the Constitution provides that a county assembly may receive and approve plans and policies for the development and management of its infrastructure and institutions. Noting that the county government has heavily invested in putting up good business structures in our county by putting up decent, permanent, and fabricated market stalls. Concerned that no guiding principles have been put in place for distributing or assigning the completed market stalls, this county assembly urges the county government through the relevant department to come up with policy framework to regulate the leasing of permanent and fabricated market stalls and submit the same to this county assembly for approval forthwith, and in any event not later than 30 days from the date of this county assembly's resolution. Ensuing debate. Honorable Member for Ziwa.
I stand in support of the motion, and Mr. Speaker, allow me also to make a confession that the honorable member who has come up with the motion has gone beyond in terms of actually seeing the future of our people. Mr. Speaker, sir, we were elected from the villages where we come from. And from experience, or rather from the initial way of doing things in this county, Mr. Speaker, it is basic knowledge that most of our business people who come from the villages have been disadvantaged for so many years, Mr. Speaker. And I find such a motion, Mr. Speaker, that if we adopt such a motion and we compel the executive to get us the policy and the way they are going to divide these kind of stalls, Mr. Speaker, in itself, Mr. Speaker, we are going to do justice to the people who elected us. Mr. Speaker, sir, we need to provide equal access to these opportunities of businesses in this town. And Mr. Speaker, sir, I have several business ladies in Ziwa Center. And Mr. Speaker, sir, they are waiting. They are always looking at the road if Commander is coming home with something. And this is the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, that I must go home with something. I want to see those business ladies in Ziwa also do business in the mid-town of Uasin Gishu. And Mr. Speaker, sir, without mincing my words, I want to say this, and I'm very categorical, that every ward be given equal spaces, Mr. Speaker, so that no single ward will feel unconsidered in this county. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is no other way they are going to make money to finance their children in school. It is through such businesses. And Mr. Speaker, sir, this afternoon, I want to say, let this one be done with the necessary speed, that is maximum speed and minimum delay. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Ziwa.
Honorable Chemwana, Member of Samba.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance, Mr. Speaker. I stand to support this motion, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to thank my neighbor who actually has brought this motion at the right time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the city of Eldoret, the city of champions, Mr. Speaker, belongs to us all. Those who are in urban areas and those who are in rural areas. Mr. Speaker. We do have hawkers in rural areas as well as urban areas, Mr. Speaker. May I thank the county government to have thought of building these stalls, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we need policies, as yesterday, as my fellow colleagues have said, Mr. Speaker. It is not new that we have stalls, Mr. Speaker. We have had stalls that have been given to the hawkers, Mr. Speaker, and they don't have policies, Mr. Speaker. When somebody has been given a stall, Mr. Speaker, you get somebody who is owning a stall actually hanging some clothes at the veranda, Mr. Speaker, selling pins at the veranda, Mr. Speaker, preventing pedestrians who are crossing along the veranda, Mr. Speaker. These should be given policies in order to stop this, Mr. Speaker. We need a clean town, Mr. Speaker. We need a planned town, Mr. Speaker. As the minority leader said, actually, Mr. Speaker, you can get another kiosk selling charcoal, Mr. Speaker. The other one sells food beverages, Mr. Speaker, which is very wrong, Mr. Speaker. So we should put policies so that it can keep our town clean, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, while I'm supporting this motion, we need to count up these stalls and divide among whole wards, Mr. Speaker, because every member of this county wishes to come to Harvard and to do business, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I stand to support the motion. Thank you.
Honorable Flora Kipchum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I want to say that I support this motion, and I want to thank the mover of this motion, that it is timely, Mr. Speaker. I would also request that the Act of Parliament 2003 considers that it is an act that fights for the PWDs. And in that act, Mr. Speaker, it has given the guidelines that anything that is by the government, be it employment, be it business opportunities, anything, Mr. Speaker, that is going to benefit the masses, 5% should be given to the persons living with disabilities. I would request that as they prepare these policies, these people, these special interests, should not be left out. They should be given this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, sir, I've gotten several calls from persons with disabilities living in this community and even in the wider community, requesting to be given these stalls, asking me what criteria are they going to use so that we can also benefit from this. So it is my desire that as they come up with the policies, we would want to include and give proper guidelines on how these people, this special group, can benefit. Because sometimes survival for the fittest are the ones who fight and they get. But this weak population sometimes is difficult for them to be seen. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I support this motion.
Thank you. I now stand to put a question. Aware that Article 185(1) of the Constitution of Kenya provides that the legislative authority of this county is vested in the exercise by its county assembly. Further aware that the county assembly may make any laws that are necessary for or incidental to the effective performance of the functions and the exercise of the powers of the county assembly under the fourth schedule of the Constitution. Further aware that Article 185(4) of the Constitution provides that a county assembly may receive and approve plans and policies for the development and management of the infrastructure and institutions, noting that the county government has heavily invested in putting up good business structures in the county, in the county. by putting up decent, permanent and fabricated market stalls, concerned that no guiding principles have been put in place for distributing and assigning the completed market stalls. This county assembly urges the county government through the relevant department to come up with policy framework to regulate the leasing of permanent and fabricated market stalls and submit the same to this county assembly for approval forthwith, and any event not later than 30 days from the date of this county assembly resolution. As many as of the same opinion say aye. Aye. Those of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, there being no other business, this house stand adjourned until Tuesday at 2:30.
Bill is a legislative proposal for consideration by the County Assembly and passing. It is a proposed law, and this proposal can come from, again, a committee of the House. It can come from a member, then it will be called a private member's bill. It can come from the executive through various executive committee departments, and once it comes to the House, it has to be deliberated upon through the various stages and passed by the House, or again rejected by the House, or passed with amendments and things like that. The bill becomes a law when it has been deliberated through the County Assembly, the first, second and third stages, passed, forwarded to the assenting authority, which is the governor, and gazetted in the Kenya Gazette or County Gazette, then it becomes law. A bill can be amended during any of the stages. In the first stage of a bill, the bill is introduced to the House by reading the long title of that particular bill. When it comes for second reading, then a reading is done, and then that particular bill is committed to the relevant committee. If the bill touches on finance, for instance, it will be committed to the Committee on Finance and Economic Planning. Then the committee is mandated to consider that bill, consider any proposals for amendment, take it to the public for public views to be given through what has been referred to as public participation forums. And when I say public participation, it doesn't mean that we must just have physical forums. These can even be done online. So it is the responsibility of that committee to ensure that this bill is actually exposed to public scrutiny, and public be allowed an opportunity to give its views. After that, that particular committee will come up with a report. This report will be tabled on the floor of the House, and upon the tabling of that report on the floor of the House, which must be done within 14 days, then the bill will be ripe and ready for third reading. And in third reading, this is when now all members will now have an opportunity now to make necessary amends before the final stage, which is actually the passage. So far, the County Assembly of Uasin Gishu has passed close to 30 bills, all of which have actually been assented to and gazetted into law. And most of these bills were originating bills that would help the county government settle, and also the county government ensure that devolution takes shape and takes root. Some of the bills that have been passed would be the public appointments bill, which was passed into law, that has helped in the process of vetting the various CECs, the various chief officers, and other officers who needs to be vetted. This ensures actually that there is equality, there is compliance with the constitution, all communities are taken care of, and things like that. Also the bursary bill, the education ban bill, the county corporations bill, the project management bill, and this is one of the most unique legislations that has emanated from this county assembly and this county government, where a legislation was passed to enable a particular project to be managed. This ensures prudence and proper utilization of funds, and also it trickles down, it takes down the management of a particular resource to the common mwananchi, furthering devolution. It has worked, and most of the projects that were undertaken through project management committees have been 100% success. Some even more than that. Even where bills of quantities had been made, there has been savings that has been made and approved by those who are supervised. In terms of bills and even motions passed, the County Assembly of Uasin Gishu leads and others follow. And when we say we lead, we just don't lead by just passing any sort of a legislation, but we pass legislations that we touch and change on the lives of the people of Uasin Gishu. Remember, the assembly members, the government, the governor himself, his deputy, the chief officers, the CECs, we all hail from Uasin Gishu. This is our home, and we make laws that will bind all of us for the best interest of each and every one of us. It is true that the County Assembly of Uasin Gishu has, since its inception, had a challenge with space. You realize that we inherited the offices that were being used by Warren County Council. And even the chamber is a chamber which was built way back in 1978, being a donation from the then President of the Republic of Kenya, or the retired President of Kenya, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, and we always thank him for this facility. And since then, there hasn't been enough resources actually to come up with a modern assembly. It is true that we are not able to give offices to each and every member of the county assembly as is required by the standing orders. It is also true that our public gallery is not able, it does not have the capacity to hold more than 50 people at a time. Again, it is a requirement of the County Governments Act that members of public be given an opportunity and an ample opportunity to be able to follow proceedings in the House as well as in committee sittings. For now, we only have 3 committee rooms, and in these committee rooms, the space cannot accommodate members of public. So it is a limitation, which we are asking members of public to understand. But in the near future, we are negotiating with the private sectors for purposes of getting into a public-private partnership programs through which we will be able to air our proceedings in the assembly live as and when there are proceedings, both in the plenary as well as at the committees.